Going on YouTube, family? As always, staying positive, staying aware, staying alert. Got more free time to do more video blogs. So hey, figure I'd take advantage of it. Cause once I get to getting busy, I ain't gonna probably have time to record for a little while. So um, mainly in this video message, I wanted to share about Egypt into the Promised Land. Before I get to that, of course, well, I guess I'll get straight to it. Now, in Egypt, you know, our ancestors, the Hebrew Israelites, was in Egypt, and God had a better place for them in order for them to grow, in order for them to have opportunity. And the Promised Land, of course, is the land of opportunity, the land of milk and honey. And a lot of foreigners look at America as the land of milk and honey. Now, why did it specifically point out those two things in the scripture? It says the land of milk and honey. Why did it name all the other resources that was in that land, in the land of Canaan? Why did it specifically point out the land of milk and honey? Of course, milk is what we need in order to grow. Milk provides nourishment. Honey is sweet. Honey is not necessarily something we need, but something we more want than need. So that's why it says the land of milk and honey, meaning the land of needs and wants. So in Egypt, in bondage, being chained down, they weren't provided their needs and wants. They was provided whatever was distributed out to them. It wasn't what they wanted, and some of the stuff wasn't what they needed. But it was what was given. They had no other option, no other choice. So the same way when it comes to a lot of us. A lot of us are in situations or predicaments that we can't prosper, we can't grow, we can't benefit from. And God trying to reach out to us and pull us to something better, pull us to something greater. But a lot of us are in Egypt, not just in America, but in Egypt in our minds. So by being in Egypt in our minds, meaning we are a slave in our minds. Being a slave in our minds, being chained down to whatever it is that we are addicted to, whatever sin, whatever lifestyle. And by being in a certain lifestyle for so long and somebody trying to pull you to a different lifestyle, and you don't know no other lifestyle, this is what you was born and raised with, this is what you know most of your life, it would be kind of hard and difficult to make a transition from the old to the new. A lot of people fear that they won't be able to make it in the new. They fear that they won't be able to prosper or achieve in the new. So that's why so many people are comfortable with the old. A lot of people have become complacent with their circumstances or their conditions in life. They can become complacent because they feel like, well, I'm barely making it, but at least I'm making it. Having self-doubt in themselves that they can be able to do better, that they have a greater ability in them to go much further and achieve much more. But a lot of people are just comfortable with where they're at because they feel like, I'm afraid if I climb any higher or try to climb any higher, that I'm going to fall even further from where I was already at. But that's the thing. We weren't born to sit in one spot like a tree and grow old. We are not trees. We was born to walk, not born to stand still. Trees are born to stand still and grow old in one spot. Humans are born to walk, to move, to travel, to achieve, to work. We are born with so many different features compared to animals, compared to trees, insects, and every other God-given creation. So that's what I wanted to share in the message about Egypt. A lot of us are in Egypt and afraid to make the transition from new. Now, some people think that living for Christ is to put themselves in a cage. Oh man, y'all ain't studying that Jesus Christ stuff. Oh, the book 2,000 years old, who want to believe in a book 2,000 years old? Oh, it was rewritten in so many different languages, and and who's to say if it's valid or not, if it's really worth reading. I don't think the people who have faith and people who been holding on all these years have been brainwashed. I don't think they applying something in their life that's invalid. Why would you continue to read some instructions to a piece of equipment that's not helping you operate that piece of equipment? You steady holding on to this instruction manual that's invalid, that's not giving you the accurate details on how to operate this piece of machinery. Why would you hold on to it? What benefit is it? You ain't gaining nothing. You're not getting nowhere by holding on to that manual. So why hold on to it? The same way when it comes to the Bible. Why hold on to a book that's fiction unless you get entertained by it? Now, those who read Harry Potter books and Zane and all this other stuff, reading books for entertainment, so be it. That's your personal preference. But some people read books to try to gain understanding, try to get a peace of mind, instead of reading books for entertainment. So, I don't think a lot of people reading the Bible for entertainment. I don't think people read and study their book to get a thrill out of the stories in it, especially if they heard the stories since childhood. You would think those stories will start to get a little old, don't you think, if they just reading it for entertainment. How many times they done heard about David slaying Goliath? How many times they heard about Jonah and the whale? How many times they done heard about Moses departing the Red Sea? How many times they done heard about Joshua and marching around 7 times with the wall of Jericho? And the stories go on and on and on. So reading a book for entertainment? Nah, don't think so. Because you read it most of your life, you pretty much familiar with the story, how it begins, how it ends. So, of course, the book is not being read for entertainment. So what is it being read for? Apparently, people are reading that book because there are things in that book that's relative to everyday life. And they find answers in this book from previous experiences of generations that existed before us. People who existed before us. Civilizations that existed before ours. Cultures that existed before ours. Countries that existed before ours. Nations. Mindsets, mentalities that existed before ours. So, it's more like a reference book. A reference according to everyday life. Something you can refer back to learn from the previous generation or the previous mentality or the previous culture. It's just like studying Mayan civilization and people studying about the Mayans and studying about their culture and civilization to learn from the Mayans, as far as to learn how to keep a civilization perpetual, how to keep it going, how to keep it continuing, instead of ending like the Mayans. So you study civilizations or study past history to learn from these people's mistakes just as well as to learn from their culture, their advantages and their disadvantages. The same way in the Bible, learning from people's advantages and disadvantages. Now, regardless if a person believes in a book or not, let's say you look at it as fiction. Okay, even if the Bible was considered to be fiction, it would still be a relevant book to follow. Why? Or a relevant book to take heed to. Why? Because the principles taught in this book are still for good benefit. It's for good benefits. Whether it's fact or fiction, it's still good benefits. Treating people kindly. Learning how to be more humble. Learning how to be more stable. Learning being wise. Not quick to make rash decisions. Being slow to speak. Holding in anger. These are some of the principles taught in this book. So even if it was a fictional book, the principles taught in this fiction book are still useful. It's still useful whether you believe it's true or not. The things taught in this book is useful. But see, that's what make it fact, and that's what make it actual, is that the things taught in here are relevant to everyday life. And by you experiencing what you read, that's what make it true. That's what makes it factual. So the question to ask yourself is, are you happy living life without God? Can you honestly say, I am happy without God? Can you honestly say that? In the past 10 years, if you've been living life without God, has your life been a thrill or a blast without God? Or has it been hell without God? You see, people think living for God, life has changed them down, but actually it said in the scripture, he who the Lord frees is free indeed. Meaning freeing you from your mindset to think that when you're stressed out, you have to go smoke a cigarette. Freeing you from the mindset to think that when you get stressed out, you have to go drink beer. Freeing you from the mindset to think that you even have to choose the emotion of being stressed. That you will have to even choose the emotion of being angry. Freeing us from our addictions. Freeing us from our stubbornness. Freeing us from our selfishness. Where we don't be an Uncle Scrooge throughout life. Being selfish, only trying to benefit ourselves and try to be wealthy. That's the Uncle Scrooge mentality. And nobody likes Uncle Scrooge as far as how he was before his spirit got renewed. So is your life honestly okay without God? That's the question. Can you honestly say, I'm happy without God? Because a person who sits and says that and answers yes, you are lying to yourself. You lying. Because how? By you encountering stressful situations and you choose a cigarette to solve it, that proves right there you need God. Why? Because you depended on tobacco to calm your nerves. If you choose a beer or some whiskey or wine to solve it, that proves you need God. Why? Because you are dependent on wine or alcohol product to calm your nerves. But if you can absorb and take it without having to smoke, without having to drink, without having to get stressed out, you possibly don't need God. Because why? No matter your circumstance or situation, you're not getting stressed. You're not depending on a smoke or a drink to calm your nerves. You are cool, calm, and collect at all times. And you can conquer and master anything that comes your way without panicking, without getting upset, without getting frustrated, without getting stressed out. You can handle whatever comes your way. But if you get frustrated, if you get stressed, if you get angry, if you smoke, if you drink, if you get stressed, that's 6 things. Angry, stressed, depressed, smoke, drink, weed, marijuana. There's 6 things or 6 reasons that I named. And there's many more. Or if you have anxiety, that's another one. If you're going to a psychiatrist, that's another one. And there are many more things that I have not added. The reasons you need God. And I just named 8 of them already. 8. Something to think about. Christ for life.